He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the little bitty babies in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the mamas and the daddies in his hands. He's got the mamas and the daddies in his hands. He's got the mamas and the daddies in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the sisters and the brothers in his hands. He's got the sisters and the brothers in his hands. He's got the sisters and the brothers in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got you and me in his hands. He's got you and me in his hands. He's got you and me in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. I remember that song from when I was a little bitty girl. That was something they would sing in school when they could sing stuff like that in school. That's song my grandfather used to sing to us, and me and my cousin would be sitting on one. She would be on one knee, I would be on the other knee, and he would sing that to us. Good evening, everybody. This is Classy Lady, and you are seeing me live and in living color. As you come in, could you please hit the like button? If you can you share me out? If you are new to my channel, can you go ahead and subscribe to my channel? I think I had over 52 shorts and lives that I have uploaded to my channel. So if you could view some of my shorts and look at some of my lives, you may not look at it throughout the whole hour. One of them I think is 4 hours long. You may not look at it through the whole entire time, but at least give me 10 minutes of that to give me some playing time on here. Um, I am a new content creator slash reaction channel. Maybe right now all of my content is strictly about me, experiences in life, histories, and things of that nature. So if you're on a replay of my video, you may want to go ahead and fast forward to maybe the 5 minute mark, because the first 5 minutes I'm fumbling, rumbling, or whatever, and I will be acknowledging the people in my chat. So right now we're at 3 minutes and 21 seconds, so you may want to fast forward 5 minutes, and then you will actually get my content. So right now I'm going to acknowledge the people in my chat. The first person that was in here is Diva. Hey, Diva. Hey, Bama, how you doing? I hope everything is going good with you and the family from your post earlier. Adam Williams, hello. Nice to meet you. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would have greatly appreciated. That way, when I come on live, you will be able to catch me. Martina Guerrero, hello. I know that you are a first-time viewer as well. Yo-Yo, that girl. Hey, Yo-Yo, how you doing? Welcome everybody in. Can you please hit the like button? I only have 3 likes. I show more people in the chat. I do know it's other people watching on the back end which do not hit the like button, which that's fine too, because when you get off, you always have more people on than you do off. So far, I don't see the guy that called me Galaxy Eye, which is that eye right there. I thought think he thought that was going to do something yesterday, but it really didn't. So yesterday, I came on. It was the first Sunday, and then the first Sunday of the year. So when I decided to start my YouTube channel, I said that I had testimonies and stories that I would like to share, and that I promised that if I do start the channel that I would share some things. Maybe I may help somebody. You never know. So that's what I decided to do. So yesterday I started my first testimony, part one story time. So the story time, the first testimony story time was about open heart surgery. Yes, I had open heart surgery. Just a big, brief background for some of the new people that's just visiting. At the age of 30, I experienced I'm gonna say experienced a heart attack. It is still a mystery till this day. Nobody really made it clear to me as to what it was because I was so young, and normally it wasn't rare that it could happen to somebody of my age, but it well take that back. It was more rare than common that it could happen to somebody at my age. Normally, I hate to say it, but it's normally like an old person disease or older seasoned person disease that normally will happen when people usually reach their late 60s, 70s, 80s, and things of that nature. And for me to experience that at such a young age, it did have the doctors scratching their heads. um, so they couldn't understand when they went through my family history, my family dynamics, that my parents, nor their parents on either side, had a history of heart failure. They couldn't remember their grandparents having a history of heart failure. Now, 3 years after I experienced uh, my heart failure, my heart attack, my great aunt, she was late 70s. Guess what she had? A heart attack. So I told her in a jokingly way once she got a little better and stuff, because we attended church together. I grew up around them and everything. And I told her, I said, Aunt Jerry, I think we got this backwards. I said, I think you were supposed to experience it first, and then that way I could ask you questions as to how it goes and what happens. And she laughed. We both chuckled about it. She said, yes, baby. She said, by right. She said, yeah, it normally happens to people my age and older, and not someone your age. But you survived it, and you live to be able to tell your testimony. So with that being said, yesterday you would have to catch my live to go back through the whole thing up to the surgery. I left out some details because I wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of the content. I didn't want to hold people off any longer. Hey, Gloria Wiley, how you doing? I will acknowledge y'all as y'all come in and as I see y'all. I don't have my reading glasses on. These are my regular glasses. I normally have my reading glasses on. Y'all usually see me with the big glasses or whatever. So I said, well, let me try it with my regular glasses. Okay, so um, doing, I would say, okay, I said about the surgery. After the surgery, and I said on yesterday that my brother was too emotional to sit at the hospital with my parents doing the surgery because it was a 8 hour procedure. Back then, it was an 8 hour. Now I don't know how long it is now. I don't want to know. I don't want to experience it now. So he was too emotional to sit there, whatever. And my parents uh, were a little disturbed because they was like, okay, husband and wife, it's me and you gonna be sitting here, and Lord, we can't do nothing but pray because our child is going through such a tedious surgery, and we don't know what to expect, and we're nervous and things of that nature. So after the Green Mile walk down the corridor to get to the surgery place where I had to go, and at that point, my mom had to let my hand go because she had to go to the waiting room. I had to go straight to the surgery room. So it got kind of emotional for her. And I say, Mama, I say, be strong. Through this whole ordeal, I have been the one to hold my family up. They're supposed to hold me up, but I was the strong one. I held them up through the procedure. As long as they could see the smile on my face, that I wasn't They could see in my face I wasn't worried, I wasn't bothered. Um, I guess I started really praying at an early age, doing things different. So um, when my mom walked through the doors of the waiting room, to her surprise, there were over 15 to 20 family and friends waiting on the other side of the door to pray and to wait with her and my dad. It was my family, cousins, some of my mom's co-workers, some of my mom and dad friends together. They were all there, neighbors, everybody was there to watch, to wait for me and to pray for me. So they prayed and they laughed and they talked and they fellowship. And my mom said, when the nurse came out and said, well, they kept giving them updates, but when the nurse finally came out and said that they're finished, the doctor will be out to talk to y'all, my mom said everybody breathed a sigh of relief. I have a cousin that worked at the VA in the cardiac department at that time. She took off of work from the VA hospital to come and be with me because she's also my god sister. And my godmother wasn't able to come and sit there that entire time. She stayed at home, being the prayer warrior that she is, and prayed for me from home. And my cousin took off of work. So that goes to show you when you're loved, and by my parents being nice to people and things of that nature, and me being nice and loving person, that people will show up for you in your time of need. So we get to that part. All right, that happened. I stayed in the hospital a little, about a week or so longer. They give you all kind of books to tell you what to experience and things of that nature. Depression being one of them. But they also talked to my family and told them that she's going to go into a somewhat state of depression, and it's going to be up to y'all to talk her out of it because she has gone through a traumatic experience and things of that nature. So I read the same book, they read it or whatever. But they were being encouraging, but still, I still held them up. To recover from such a thing as an open heart surgery is a major, major, major blow to your body. Um, when I say my mom, I had to go back almost like a child. My mom had to fix my plate, my dinner, lunch, breakfast, or whatever that I was going to eat that day. And she had to bring it to the table. And I had enough strength just to walk to the table. I couldn't even hold a paper plate in my hand because my mom knew that a plate was a little heavy for me. So what she did, she resorted to paper plates and tried me to see if I could carry the plate, and I couldn't. My hands started to shake, and I said, "Mom, the plate's falling." So after that one episode, they fixed my food, set it down, and the time it took me to get there, then I got there and I sat and I ate. I also did a bunch of swelling. So the first week and a half or so after my surgery, I had to go so that they could remove my staples, because they stapled me from the top of my knee all the way down to my ankle. It looked like a rope that they had attached to my ankle. And so when my dad saw that, he asked the doc, he said, "Doc, uh, you couldn't have fixed her leg a little bit better than that?" And the doctor response to him was, "Would you rather her leg look like this and take time to heal, or would you rather her not be here?" My dad said, "Never mind, never mind." He said, "Her leg is gonna heal. It's gonna take time. But if anybody know about keloid skin is the thickening of the skin. Your skin will heal, but it will grow a thicker layer of skin." So till this day, I still have one little part, probably about this long, that is keloid skin and that you can actually feel. The other part has gone down evenly in my skin, but you still can see the 30 or 40 staple marks that was on my leg. Also, I was cut there, and I was cut from here to right above my navel. So I tell people I was cut from the rooty to the tootie. If that would give you a visual. So the aftercare and the aftermath of the surgery, uh, the fixing of the food, I couldn't do any of that. When I went to get my staples removed, I was so swollen till the nurse said, if I remove these staples, your leg is gonna pop open. So we're gonna have to give you some Lasix, which y'all know that's fluid medicine. And they gave me, I had to take 40 milligrams of Lasix every day. And when I tell you, by the time the weight that I started with when I went to the doctor for her to remove them, and the weight that I came back with, I lost 40 pounds of fluid. I was just that swollen. Being that swollen made me real tired to walk. It's also a tiresome thing. Makes you tired to walk. Uh, to take a shower took me almost 15 minutes to be able to get my leg in the shower, and when I got out the shower, all I could do was lean my head against the vanity and rest. I couldn't do anything else. I had to rest because I was so tired. So many days, and at that time I had to move back in with my parents. I had moved out at 22. I'm Miss Independent, doing everything myself or whatever. But I made the conscious decision when that happened to me not to be selfish and have my parents to pay rent, a car note, and all my other bills because I was a working young lady. So I didn't want to be selfish like that. So I had a real good friend. Um, she came and she told me to sit down. We was at my apartment. She packed up everything, wiped, washed down everything, packed it. My dad was waiting on my brother. He pretty much had gotten everything on the U-Haul, but when my brother got there, they helped him put the regular stuff on there. I purchased a storage, and I left my stuff in storage almost 2 years. My brother ended up buying some of my furniture because it was new. It was new furniture, but the rest of the stuff stayed in storage. Okay, so I had a good friend to do that. Um, and then as far as getting dressed, it was a tiresome thing. I couldn't just get dressed like I do now. I had to take my time because I could put one arm in something, I had to rest. Put the arm in something else, I had to rest because it was like my breath was short. But everything had went good with the surgery. So my mom was self-employed, and she was a manager. She sold home interior. Some of y'all that are 45 years and older, y'all know what that is. That's wall decorations that go in the house. Women were crazy about that stuff way back in the day. I still have a few choice pieces now, and the company is no longer exists. And but if you, I would say 40, 45 years or older, and maybe some younger than that may know, but you know what home interior is. So my mom was a manager. She was self-employed. So therefore, like now, she could work remotely from home and do a lot of telephone work with the ladies that worked under her and things of that nature. So one day, my I had a little friend that worked with me. She's about 10 years younger than me. And back then, she was very headstrong, little young girl, cute little young girl. You couldn't, hot headed, and always they fighting with the boyfriend and getting caught here, there, whatever. So, backstory on her. So, anyway, um, I had to. So, when I left work, she was already hanging on by a thread. Um, and she said that, Bryn, she say, you're the only one keeping me you know, grounded at this job. She said, I've had, jobs before. And she said, I just quit. When they make me mad, I just quit. She said, but this is a job that I have benefits on, and you kind of keeping me grounded. Because I would always calm her down and tell her things that she was doing to not do that, because stuff like that comes back around to you. Oh, she was doing things like gluing her putting sugar in her boyfriend's tank if she caught him cheating, and gluing his gas tank together, just all kind of stuff, silly stuff. I said, stuff come back around on you. So my mom had to go to a business meeting, and after this happened to me, and she said, so you're not coming back to work? And I said, it's going to be a while before I'll be able to come back to work. I said, the doctor said 3 to 4 months. Okay. So he said that depended on my healing. So my mom had to go to a business meeting. Uh, Being that she was home with me every day, she did not want to go and leave me there by myself. So everybody was working, and I had a cousin that was going to be able to come, to sit with me and stuff like that. Which she did. She did come one day, and she spent the day with me, and this was an older cousin, and we laughed and talked that whole day. And she said, I ain't gonna make you laugh that much. I don't want you to pop no stitches or nothing. But she stayed with me. And so then the next couple of days, my mom had some important meetings, and she needed somebody to stay with me. So I was talking to my friend, and I was telling her that my mom needed somebody to stay with me and stuff like that. I say, so I'm gonna have to call around or whatever. She say, so you're not coming back to work? I say, no, it's gonna be a while. She said, oh, I'm not gonna last that long at that job if you're not coming back. I say, well, it's gonna be a while. So, well, I would say about a week or two. And so she said, if you're not coming back for a while, I ain't staying there. I will be your care. I will be your caretaker, and your mama don't have to pay me nothing. I'd rather come sit with you every day than to be at this job, because I'ma end up going to jail. And I say, no, don't quit your job. I say, you know how it goes. You don't quit a job until you find another job. She said, I don't care. I'm young enough. I'll get a job somewhere else. Do you know she quit the job we were working at because I said I wasn't coming back to work? She quit. She did just what she said. That week, every day she came and stayed with me at my parents' house during the day while my mom conducted her business. She said, tell your mom to get me a blanket and a pillow. I was laying on the sofa. She was laying on the love seat. But she would go to sleep. I say, well, how are you a caretaker and you over there sleeping and I'm still up? You supposed to be watching after me. She said, well, I told you just to wake me up if you needed anything. But long story short, she quit and she didn't go back to work. She eventually found another job, a better paying job or whatever. And I say that to say things happened. I started this story time yesterday, and today I was trying to call somewhere, and I was in my directory, and I hit the place that I was calling, but it didn't call the place. It ended up calling her. So I hurried up and hung up the phone because I was like, oh, I wasn't trying to call her. I'm trying to call this other place. So I redialed that place or whatever. So when she got a chance, she's working remotely from home. She got a chance. How about she called me? And I said, I wasn't trying to call you. I said, I was trying to call someone else. And I thought the phone had actually hung up. And we got to talking. I say, oh, I have story time part 2, and I was telling that what I about the YouTube and things of that nature. I say, and guess who gonna be on program tonight? I said, we're gonna talk about you and the way you quit your job. And we went on to laugh and talk and things of that nature. And she was telling me some things that was going on with her. But way back then, she was in her 20s, and the 20-year-old back then putting sugar in people's tank, gluing tanks at the red light, jumping on top the hood and this, that, and other, acting a fool in traffic or whatever. How about she has her PhD today? She has a PhD in nursing. The girl is a smart little whip. I'm so proud of her. I am so, so proud of her. I always encouraged her as she was going through her journey. She started off as the RN, BSN, LPHN. I'm just making up some alphabets, but I know it's other things. And she went and went and went until she got her PhD. So now she is a doctor in nursing. So I'm so proud of her from that. So I had to throw that in there. But anyway, the aftercare, and it was a long journey. I couldn't even go to the mailbox because the houses had like a little, just a little slight steep. And I knew if I got down to the end of that driveway, I wasn't going to get back up. And it's just a lot of, it was a lot of moving parts or whatever to that. And a lot of stuff that I went through. And the most part of it was it knocked the wind out of you. And it took more than 3 months to heal. It took me more than 3 months to heal. Every day was a battle, was a uphill battle. The beginning of that year, my dad talked to my mom and he said, he called her sweetie. He said, sweetie, we've been working and we deserve another house. Wasn't nothing wrong with the house they had. But he said, I want a brand new house. He said, I've never lived in a brand new house. So I want you to go and by June or July, I want you to have picked out a brand new house for us to move in. He said, that's what I want. And so my mom was like, yeah. He ain't, we ain't gonna get no new house or whatever. And he would keep on her. He would keep on her about have you went to look for a new house because he drove cross country. He trained drivers in the 18 wheelers how to how to drive over the road and things of that nature. And every time he would talk to her, he would ask her, has she been looking? So I say, Mom, I say, evidently he's serious about what he's talking about. Now, like I said, I was in my own place. So I would come, and I lived on the other side of town. I would come on the weekends and stay at my mom's house so that I could take her every week to look for a house. So I took her to new neighborhoods, new subdivisions where they were putting in new homes and stuff. This was prior to all of this happening. So I would take her to home areas and whatever. I say, Mom, what is it that you're looking for? I say, we didn't looked at so many houses, I'm cuckoo. And I say, they're pretty to look at. I say, but we keep running into the same dead end, and I don't know what you're looking for. So she said, Bryn, she said, I always wanted a house with a former living room, a former dining room. And she said, your dad wants a 2-story, but I don't want all of my rooms upstairs. She said, I want my bedroom downstairs. So lo and behold, we looked from the north side to the east side to the south side. We was rolling. Finally came up on this new subdivision. I said, look, we done been looking. I say, I'm tired. Don't even get out the car. Let me go in this model home to see what they have. So I went in this particular model home. And y'all, when I walked in there, I walked in the foyer. There was a space for a formal living room and dining room. Walked into the great area. You had a bath, half a bed downstairs, the kitchen and a kitchenette. The bedroom was downstairs and it wasn't behind the stairwell. Jacuzzi tub, separate shower, all of that. Oh, I went up the stairs, 3 bedrooms, another game room upstairs. I say, by George, I think we got it. I say, Lord, please let her like this house. I say, Mama, you can get out the car. I think I found it. I say, and as a matter of fact, I know I found the house for y'all. I'm putting the X on this house. I'm not going to look nowhere else. You're going to have to either go on your own or get somebody else. I say, because everything you said you wanted, this house has it. Okay. got the put the earnest money down. This was the house. My dad had never seen the house. He didn't really care. It was what she wanted, but he wanted a brand new house. Mama was able to get that house, and they start the bill on the house. So when they start the bill on the house, I went through this uh, terrible ordeal. And later on, and they tell you when you buy a new house, you need to go to the house every day, at least down here, to make sure they'll put new um, wood and pieces and stuff. You can, people would go and write little notes and stuff and on the wood and the sheetrock and stuff like that. Nowadays, they go and write affirmations and stuff in the new when they get a new bill, they'll go in there. So. Um, we were supposed to be going to the house at least every day or every other day to check on the progress of the house. My mama wouldn't go. So I would ask mama, I say, well, have you been over there to the house to see what was going on or whatever? And she would just say no. So I left it alone. Um, because when I would talk, oh, I had a horrible cough. I had a horrible cough. And this little meter that they give you now when you have surgery to fill your lungs up, they still had a little doggone meter from years ago. I had to blow in there to get it to a certain point. And when I would blow, Bob, I tell you, when I would blow after that, I coughed so much till I got to the point where I just didn't want to do it. But I knew in my mind, in order to get my lungs to where they needed to be, I had to. But I dreaded it. I dreaded to have to blow in that thing and suck in and watch the little thing go down, suck in, watch the little thing go down. And they would have me to do it 10 to 20 times an hour. Um, I pretty much stopped talking to people on the phone because when I would have a conversation, and I guess that may be why I'm talking so much or I talk so much now, but I couldn't hold a conversation with anybody because I would cough so much. So it got to the point I just said, I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to talk to anybody. And I would, limit my conversations with my parents and brother and them. It would be very limited because I coughed so much after I would talk. So one day, my brother, he stayed with me and he fixed me lunch and stuff. And my aunt and uncle called me from Louisiana and they wanted to know how I was doing. And so I thought I was okay to talk to him. And I told him, I said, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. And blase, blase. And we talked for a few seconds or whatever. I got to coughing uncontrollably. I couldn't stop coughing for nothing till my aunt and uncle got so nervous they hung up the phone. I say, well, thank you, because if I really needed y'all had done hung up the phone. They said they got so nervous they didn't know what was going on, and they hung up the phone. They waited about 5 to 10 minutes and they called back. And at that time, I did like this. I told my brother, I don't want to talk. So my brother answered and he got on the phone and they say, well, what happened? And he was telling, he said, a lot of times when she talk on the phone and she gets winded and she starts to cough and it hurts her so much to cough because I would have to have a pillow. And he said it hurts her so much to cough, so she just don't want to. She don't want to get back on the phone. So they said, okay, that's fine or whatever. But that cough was atrocious. Um, it I couldn't stop coughing. It was just a continuous cough that would last me for a while. I don't care how much water I would drink, whatever, until I got it out. And sometime I would have to get fluid out. It would die down. So that was one thing of that nature. So one day I asked my mom, I said, why you don't want to go to the house? I said, tomorrow, mama, can we do like a little trip so I can get out the house? She said, where you want to go? I say, I would like to go and see the house, the progress of the house. Now, by this time, I could walk a little bit better. And she said, you want to go see the house? I said, yes. I said, the people said that you're supposed to go every day or every other day to go look at the progress of the house. So we went look at the house and everything, and when we got there, we got out, and they had to got all the outside. They had the top. They had the roof. Pretty much the brick, everything, and they were just pretty much working on the inside. I said, "Wow, they got they did this pretty quick." So my mom said, on our way going home, I said, "Mom, why didn't you want to go look at the house?" And she said, "Baby," she said, "I was so scared." She said, "If something would have happened to you, I wouldn't have never moved in that house." She said, "I don't care how much money we put down on that house. I was not moving in that house because, for one, you took me to look for the house. You picked the house out. And as far as I was concerned, if anything would have happened to you, I wasn't moving in that house." She said, "I'm sorry. I had already talked to your daddy about it, and she said I wasn't going to move in there." And she said, "Had you not asked me and encouraged me to go look at the house," she said, "I had no intentions on going to look at it. Had no intentions on going to look at it. I had no intentions on going to see the progress of it. Had no intentions on doing anything." She said, "Your help meant more to me than going look at that old house, even though it was a brand new house." She said, "To go looking at an old house." She said, we have a house to live in." So it's just different moving parts to stuff when you think about it. It's a lot. And so I was staying in there. I was staying in the room, and one day my mom came in there, and she was talking to me because she would give me moments by myself. Because she said, "I never broke. I never cried in front of them. I never did anything." And she said, "You have uplifted us more than we have uplifted you." So I was laying down, and she was sitting on the side of the bed, and she said, "Baby," she said, "I want to tell you something." She said, "And I just want to know how you feel, how everything is going with you, and stuff like that." And I said, "Mama," I said, "When we were going down that corridor, that long green mile hall, and you was holding my hand," I said, "I had a song in my mind and I had a song in my heart." I said, "You wouldn't believe what I was singing." She said, "Baby, I was singing a song too." And she said, "I was singing." She said that, "No, that song that the Usher Board we march in on for our annual day, We Are Soldiers in the Army." She said, "I was singing that song as we were going down the aisle." I said, "Mama, you ain't gonna believe this. That was the same song in my head that I was singing and in my heart." My mama, we both had tears rolling. I said, "Lord, look at God." My mama had the same song in her mind and her heart, and I had the same song, that we are soldiers in the army. We was going to fight. We were going to war. And I was gonna win that war. She said I had that same song in my heart and my mind, and I said, "Mama, I did too." I said I was singing it, and I say that's why when you didn't see me crying, I say because I knew the battle was won, the war was won, and the battle. I said I had it in my heart, and I said when the nurses came to pray for me, that nurse, that older nurse, told me what to ask God for or what to say, and said, "Lord, let your will be done." And Mama, that's what I did. Before I took those breaths, I said, "Lord, let your will be done." And that was it. Lights, action, camera, everything out. And it was a chilling moment, because you never know how in sync you are with your mom or your parent, but more so women and their moms. Because I don't want to get, too gross or anything, but if you've ever known, it may be if you have sisters or it could be you, that when your mom administration is on, it's either one of her children or all of her children are on at the same time as the mom. That's how most moms would know if their daughters were pregnant. Because I know me and my mom, as long as I was living in her house, either I was a few days before her, few days after her, but it was around that same time. So I don't know if that's happened to anybody else, but I know that that was a story of mine that I was around the same time. Let me see. Marion. Oh, I said hello. Yo yo. Hey, I said hello to everybody. Hey, everybody that's coming in, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would love to see you again in my chat. Hey, LaWanda, how you doing? Hey, Jennifer. Let me stop trying to be cute. Let me put my my real friends on. Hey, oh, there we go. Hey, loving my grandson. Boy, it's a difference when you put on some reading glasses and you can see. Lord have mercy. Hey, David. How you doing? Welcome to my channel. This is part two of my, hey, Gloria, if I didn't say hi. This is part two of my um, first testimony of 2026. First testimony, first of many stories that I will tell and stories that I talk about or whatever. So I was in sync with my mom at that time. So that song and that was in our heart and stuff of that nature. So every day I would practice going down, walk to the driveway, to the mailbox. And I would tell my mom, if I'm not back up in 10 minutes, you need to come out there and look for me because that means I didn't pass out, go and look for the mail or whatever. But that's how I built my stamina up. I would walk to the mailbox every day, down at the end of the driveway, practice going down, coming up, going down, coming up. Um, and I had a pretty much brand new car parked in the driveway. It was a standard shift. I was like, now, Lord, how am I going to be able to move my arm, generate this up to my chest to drive that standard shift? I say, but I'm going to drive that stick shift. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to be able to drive it again or whatever. But that was the least of my worries. Uh, but my main thing was to heal. It took a lot out of me, like I said, just to take a shower. It took a lot out of me just to walk to the dinner table, from the bedroom to the den area to sit down. So it took a lot out of me. And can you imagine? I'm 30. I'm supposed to be at the top of my game at that point. But I was moving like I was 80 or 90 years old because that's how much energy it took out of me. So what they call it was, I call it a double bypass, but they say they call it cabbage, uh, um, a double cabbage or something like that, surgery. And like I said again, I had three uh, arteries blocked. It was two main arteries. One was 90% blocked. One was 80% blocked. So that was pretty bad. The stents were not going to help me. The nitroglycerin was not going to help me to be able to function. The only thing that was going to help me to function, to be able to live a normal life and a longer life, was the actual surgery itself. Now, I did get nitroglycerin um, for afterwards if I needed it. But the doctor always told me, he said, you know, if you feel your chest tightening up, you can always take one. He said, but if you have to take more than two, he said, you need to be headed to the ER. He said, you shouldn't be taking more than two. Or I don't really want you to take two, but if you have to and if it subsides, then okay. But no more than two nitroglycerins under your tongue. And I don't know if anybody has experienced that, but it gave me like an instant headache when I took them. And I would have to, kind of either lay down or be still. But I kept them. It was a little bitty bottle about that big, and it had like about 10 little pills. They was the smallest pills that I ever did see. But baby, when I tell you they packed a punch, they packed a punch. The smallest pill, but it packed a punch. And I kept them with me faithfully. But when I was able to get out and about, I never did. I'm not gonna say never. I can't remember experiencing having to take any. Um, Not that I know of, because I knew the effect of it make my head hurt. So um, it was a long journey, and like I said, that was 28 years ago. And when I think about it, I went through it. I went through it. I had relatives, they would come and visit me. I was to the point, if I feel, my mom said, if you feel like getting up, get up. If you don't feel like getting up, you don't have to get up and sit up with anybody. They either can come in the room or they can holler at you through the door, speak to you, and you don't have to be bothered. So that's what I did. So like I said, I never at that point never let my parents and brother or whatever see me sweat or get upset or anything of that nature. I never broke down. I never cried. I never did anything of that nature. So when my brother came, after the surgery was over with, he eventually came up to the hospital. And at that time, he brought about 10 foot long sandwiches from Subway of all flavors and makes, bags of chips, cookies, and everything. And he was feeding everybody that had came to sit with my parents. My mom said, "Why did you bring many sandwiches and stuff?" He said, "Mama, I didn't know how many people was up there. It sounded like a lot when you called and told me." He said, "Mama, you just don't know. When I saw that phone ring and I heard your voice," he said, "Do you know I almost passed out?" He said, "I didn't know what you were going to tell me happened." He said, "I stopped breathing." He said, "And until you said she's okay, she made it through." He said, I said, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." And he said, "I don't know what." He said, "I just felt that everybody in there had been waiting." And he said, "I just went to Subway, bought a whole bunch of sandwiches and stuff, and I was feeding everybody that was up there waiting with y'all because I appreciated that." He said, "I couldn't come because," he said, "I know I would have passed out." He said, "I wouldn't have been no more good." But ever since then, um, um, it's nothing, not so much that, but it's nothing that I can't ask him to do that he won't do. He's very overprotective and he don't play about me. When we were growing up, he used to try to show me how to fight. Tell me, "I'm going to show you how to fight like a man." Well, I say, "I'm a girl." But he said, "When you get to high school, I need you to learn how to fight because them boys be raising them girls' dresses up. And another thing, you're going to have to wear some shorts if you wear a dress or a skirt because them boys be raising them girls' dresses up, passing by. And if somebody do that to you, I know I'm going to be expelled because I'm going to be fighting." So, okay, that was one thing. So he's always been very overprotective of me. And so one particular day he came to visit me, and I was laying in the room and things of that nature. And he came in there. He say, "Sister, how you doing? How you feeling?" Do y'all know what I did? I burst out in the loudest cry, hollering, screaming to the top of my lungs. I was screaming, uncontrollably crying. Crying, just crying, 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 crying. He ran out. He started crying. He said, "Mama, Mama, I just asked her how she was doing, and she just started crying and screaming. She's screaming and crying, Mama. Go see what's wrong with her. Go see what's wrong with her." I could not stop crying and screaming. I cried and screamed so much for about 5 minutes. And my mom came in there and she said, "Baby, it's going to be okay." She said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I said, I said, "I don't know, Mom." She said, was all this built up in you from your surgery? She said, did he say something to you to hurt your feelings? And I was like, no, no. And I said, I just never, I just never cried, Mama. I just never cried. This was all built up in me. This was all built up in me. And I couldn't stop crying. And my mama said, baby, Mama gonna leave you in here. Cry on. She said, cry until you get tired. She walked out and closed the door. And I continued crying and screaming and hollering. And when she heard me settle down, my brother came back in there. He said, sister, sister, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. I said, it wasn't you. It's just that you asked me how I was doing. And at that time, I couldn't contain it. I hadn't had it. I said, I couldn't contain it. It wasn't you. It's just that you asked me at the wrong time, but it was the right time. I said, I just couldn't contain it. I say, trust me, brother, it wasn't you. I say, you see how I never did cry. I never did let y'all see me cry. I never did break down or nothing like that. I say, that's what it was. I say, it wasn't you. I say, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I scared you and had you thinking that you did anything to me because you didn't. I said, I'm glad you came. You know, it was one of them days he came from work and he came by to see me and stuff. And I said, I'm glad you came by and I'm glad you came to see how I was feeling and things of that nature. I say, but trust me, it wasn't you. But yeah, I had cut up and carried on and cut the food in that room. And my mom, you know, when she came in there to check on me, she asked me and she wanted to know, did he say something? Did he offend you? Did he do something? I said, no. She said, well, I'm going to let you have your moment. She closed that door and went on back out. And when she heard me settle down in there, she came back about 10 minutes later. She said, do you feel much better? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, I was wondering when you was going to break. She said, because you have held the family up. You have held us up. And she said, I'm sorry that I couldn't be as strong as you. She said, but you my child and I love you and I couldn't do it. She said, but you held us up. She said, I promise you, you're a strong old tough cookie because you did it. And I said, yeah. So then I had that episode, and then I had a friend that, real good friend, that kind of shied away from me, our friendship, because I went through that. And I don't know the reason, if she just couldn't stand to see me like that, because when her first daughter is my godchild, which I call her my child, and I had was with her 20 just all the time. We were together all the time. And when my god baby even grew up to be about 3 years old, and that was about the time that I had my surgery. And my friend kind of shied away from me, and you just didn't know how to come around. Like she wasn't used to seeing me like that. She was used to seeing me this vibrant person. And when they go out to the club, I'd be at home at my mama's house. I'd be waiting on them to come back at 2 in the morning to tell me what happened at the club or whatever. And my god baby was used for me coming around, and she hadn't seen me in a while. And and like I said, her mom shied away. And what the connection, my god baby say, Mom. And she said, what, baby? She said, where my nanny? She said, where your nanny? You want to talk to your nanny? She said, yeah, I'm going to talk to my nanny. And my girlfriend picked up the phone, gave my god baby the phone, and I said, hello. And my god baby say, Nanny, where you been? And that bridged the gap back for us. And she told me that when we started back conversating on the phone, she said, friend, I'm sorry. She said, I was just so used for you being up around, you being there for me. You've always been there for me. I just didn't know how to take it. And she said, when your god baby asked where her nanny was, she said, you want to talk to your nanny? And when my goddaughter told her, yeah, she said she immediately dialed the phone and put her on the phone. And so my god baby, I talked to her and talked to her for a little bit, and I told her, I said, "Where your mama?" So she gave her mom the phone, and we talked, chit chatted for a little while, and then she started coming back around, and she brought my god baby to see me, and my godchild must have hugged, and when it was time for them to leave, she said, "No, I'll stay here with Nanny. I'll stay here with Nanny." She did not want to go with her mom. She wanted to stay with her nanny because she had not seen me in a while. But um, just goes to show you how friends can come around. They can come and go. Some can see you go through something. Some can't see you go through anything. And remember, y'all that were here on yesterday when I called one of my friends that we worked together. I even spent the night at this girl's home with her parents. Well, she was adopted, and I think her dad was Polish and her mom was Spanish, and she was Spanish too. And we had a freeze at the job, and it was too far for me to drive home. So her parents offered me to, being that they live closer to the job, to come and stay the night at their house. And her mom had cooked a soup or chili or something, and I had never had oyster crackers. That was the first time I had oyster crackers and stuff. And I stayed at their home so that I wouldn't have to drive on that icy road all the way back home and stuff. And back in the day, even though I was of age, I wasn't that old. My mom still called her mom and talked to her mom and made sure it was okay for me to stay over there. Make sure that I wouldn't put them in no trouble or whatever. She said, "Oh no, she has another bed. She has twin beds in a room. She can stay in the other bed. No, she's welcome to stay here, whatever." And I never forgot that. But that was the same friend that says, "Oh gosh, I hope you don't die." I was like, "I hope I don't either. I hope I don't either." But you know, when we young, we dumb, we don't know the right words to say, and I don't hold it against her. Um, as a matter of fact, pretty soon, I think I haven't seen her in a while. I want to call her and invite her out to lunch, and we go out to lunch together and just kind of chop it up a little bit because we haven't seen each other in a while, and I miss her. I do miss her, you know. And as a matter of fact, we had lost contact with each other, and her oldest daughter would always hear her talk about me. And when social media came about, her oldest daughter looked me up, or some kind of way she cross-referenced the me or whatever, and she got my parents phone number, and she called my parents, and she told my mom who she was or whatever, and got my number and gave her mom my number, and we talked. And it's been a while. We went out to lunch together and things of that nature, but we haven't been back out. So it's time. I'm overdue, because friends like that, you don't you don't throw away, you don't let go. um I know she, at that time we was young and she didn't know what to say, and so I don't hold that against her or whatever. And matter of fact, when we end up going out to eat, I told her, I said, I kind of had pulled away. I say, because she said, "Oh," she said, "Please forgive me." I said, "Yeah, because you told me you hope I didn't die." I said, "That wasn't the right thing to tell me going through open heart surgery." So she said, "I am so sorry." She said, "Hey, Mary Watson," she said, "because, I didn't know what to say." She said, "I was young. I didn't know what to say." And she said, "Please forgive me." I said, "I don't hold it against you, because, yeah, I know we were young and dumb, and we didn't know a lot of things that we didn't know or whatever." But I say that to say, out of all of that, and I may add some more parts to that as I think about things, because, like I said, that was 28 years ago. I'm sorry, May 31st of this year will make 29 years. I never will forget. It was the day after Memorial Day. The doctor wanted to take me in on Memorial Day, and he had forgot it was a holiday. And I said, "No, you're not. You're not going to operate on me on Memorial Day. Nope, 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 nope." He didn't realize it was Memorial Day. And then after, well, when I went in and after the surgery and before I was released, the Rockets, like I said, the Houston Rockets were in the playoffs back then. And before he released me, I said, you know why I was so adamant about you? He said, I told him, I say, the Houston Rockets lost the playoffs. I am so glad I had my surgery before the Houston Rockets lost the playoffs. I say, because I don't know what frame of mind you would have been in, because you was a die-hard fan. I say, I'm so glad I had my surgery before they lost the playoffs. And he just laughed at me and he said, um, I have enjoyed you as a patient. He reassured my mom before I went into surgery. He said, I have a daughter a few years younger than your daughter. And he said, I promise you, when I take her into surgery, I will look at her like I'm operating on my own child. And he said, I know I love my child to death. And he said, and I know you love your child. And he said, she will be in good hands with me, and I'm going to operate on her as though I was operating on my own child. And I promise you, I'll bring your baby back to you. That was another gushing moment my mom had that she just couldn't stop. She just couldn't catch a break. Couldn't catch a break. And he did that. Him and the anesthesiologist. She was a younger black lady, and Dr. Reardon at the Methodist Hospital. They took very awesome good care of me. And she told me, she said, I'm going to get you through this. And when I get you through this, I don't ever want to see you in here again. I say, honey, I don't ever want to see you either. Not unless at that time, Sharpstown Mall was open. And I say, unless we passing each other in the mall, and I be saying hey to you, and you be saying, oh, I think I know you or whatever. I said, that's the whole time I want to see you. I said, I don't want to see you no more. Not in the Methodist. I say maybe somewhere else, but not in here. You know. So they took very good care of me. And I'm going to end with this note. Why I said it was a testimony. I prayed before I went into surgery. And I said, God, if you bring me through this surgery and you perform the miracle for me, like the doctor said, you give him the manly powers to operate on me and to bring me through and to do the best of his ability that he can do for me. I said, I promise you that this will be a testimony I will tell for the rest of my life. And so that's why I call it a testimony, because it has truly been a testimony. And I've told it to many people, just strangers, people that I meet that we have conversations. And I tell them, I said, it's a testimony that I've always promised God. If he brought me through it, gave me a new lease and a second lease on life, I was going to tell my testimony wherever I go. But it had been nudging at me to get a YouTube channel, because I felt that I would get a larger platform, and that whoever runs across this live or have heard about this live, they could say, hey, go listen to this lady and how she made it through, and blase, and listen to her stories, her testimony. I promised that I was going to make it a testimony, and I can reach more people at one time on here than I could just telling people individually. And I made that promise to God, and I haven't broke my promise yet. And I don't plan on breaking my promise, because he has given me a second lease on life. And I'm 58 years old now, knock on wood. I've had other medical challenges and things that I'm praying on that if I want to open up and talk about that, because that goes in a different manner. And people like to put their mouth on you, but baby, I can't. Everybody is a child of God, but I know I am a special one, and I don't have no more powers than the next one. But I do know that I am a special one, because I promised that, and I have been trying to walk the life that I am supposed to, and not so much walk the life, but I've made a promise, and I said that, and I have been keeping my promise. I haven't broken my promise yet, because I promise you, in every year, I may have told the story 5 to 10 times within a year. So you 5 to 10 times in a year times 28. Go figure. That's a lot of telling this testimony. And so by me coming and bringing it to my platform, I'm reaching many more people. And like I say, I hope that I have helped someone. I hope that I am helping someone that may be facing open heart surgery. Trust and believe technology today is much better, 28 years better than it was back then when I had to face it. And I just hope to reach somebody and to be able to help somebody with that. So I'm going to just check to see who else in my chat that I haven't acknowledged and haven't spoken to. Um, and if anybody have any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat. I will answer them. I think Mary Ann is the last person I spoke to. Hey, Jeffrey Huggins, happy birthday to you. May God bless you to have many more. Jennifer Bethley, hi. Thank you for praying for me. I do need the prayers. I really appreciate that. David Drayton, no, I'm not your grandma, David. You can refer to me as classy lady. If you're under 20, I would appreciate if you exit stage left, because my commentary is not for anyone 18 and younger. And if you're older than 18, please address me as classy lady. Hey, Bridget, how you doing? Hey, Tamika. Hey everybody, coming in. Can you hit the like button? If you can, share me out. I don't know who you'll share me out to. Share me out to yourself. I don't care. If you're new to my channel, as I stated in the beginning, you may want to fast forward 5 minutes in. If you're on the replay, that's pretty much when I will start telling my second part of my testimony. If and I am new to YouTube as of tomorrow. No, Wednesday. I will be 3 weeks on here. I'm trying to build up my channel. I'm trying to get out there a little bit more, and I do know that the thumbs up and the watch times get you out in the algorithm. I have, well, we could say 4,000 watch hours that I need. So I'm not in it for the money right now. I'm in it to tell stories and tell testimonies and things that I have, life experiences that I have been through, and hopefully to help someone. We can talk about different topics on here. You can leave it under my comments, what you would like to talk about. If it's not negative or derogatory or things of that nature, well, I'll be happy to bring it to my platform. We can have Q&A and talk about it or whatever. So I wanted to come on here a little bit earlier today. I realized that 9 o'clock was a little late for some people. I don't know if if I have a part 3. I have to think about it. It's a lot of things that was involved with the surgery and things of that nature. So if I could think of things that I can hold your attention with, I will. Um, right now, I do have. I've most of the time I've been able to fly under the radar of a cardiologist. So now I have a new cardiologist since I had pneumonia a couple of years ago, and he switched me on some very expensive medication, which all this time I told him I ain't had no problems in 28 years, and now all of a sudden I get you in 1 year, and you're making all these changes and doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, I kind of almost want to give me a second opinion, or just kind of want to just shy away from you, because of that, because now you're recommending me for a procedure that will take me off one of the expensive medications called a Watchman, in layman's terms of what it is, a Watchman procedure. And that's something that a device that they put in your heart to catch the clotting of your blood, and also helps prevent a person from having a stroke. And I'm kind of on the fence of that, because I keep looking at 28 years going on 29 years. I have not had any problems, and now that you have switched me to this more expensive medication, now you're saying this, now you're saying that, and it may have already been going on and coming on or whatever. But I did consult with the doctor about it, and she's saying that it's pretty simple procedure that she does all the time. And I think she's called an electrophysicist. I'm gonna have to look up her up the title of. She's a cardiologist as well, but she does with the electricity part of your heart. So I'm kind of on the fence about that, and of having that procedure. So I don't know. I don't like y'all fooling. I only have one heart. And I don't like y'all fooling around with it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Um, so with that being said, since no one have any questions for me, I'm not gonna make this a long live. I am going to going on 1 hour and 11 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end the live. Um, I may come back at maybe 12 o'clock and just put some music on my channel. I know Bama normally does that earlier. So, Bama usually be asleep by 12. So I may come on at 12 to catch some of the third shifters or whoever is still up. And I'm just going to let the Pandora on the YouTube TV just play, and it will be old school R&B, blues. I won't take any requests, because I don't know how to um, put the request on there without being complicated. So I think I'm gonna come back on and put while I get my papers together for my taxes. I'm gonna play some play some music and just let it play, and it will be blues and old school R&B, and I'll just let it play, and I'll check my phone from time to time to see if anybody's on there and speak. So with that being said, I am getting off of here, and I'll post something if I do a story time number 3 tomorrow. Hey Mocha, I may play music at about 12 o'clock if you're still on tonight. So catch my replay. You have time to catch my replay before I start playing music, because Bama will probably be asleep at 12 o'clock. So I'll be free to do it. Good night, everybody, and thanks for listening. And remember to hit the thumbs up button. Watch some of my shorts and replays. And if you're new to my channel, think about subscribing to me so that you can see when I come on and you can watch more of my content. Thank you, everybody. I love you, and come back to see me soon. Bye.